What's going on? Patrick here. That's me trying to take a selfie with the bees, but getting stung in the back of the neck instead. It's been 2 weeks since we put our mite treatment in, so now it's time to take the treatment out and put the feeders back in. But this time we're going with 2-to-1 sugar water. So right here, we're boiling the water and adding the sugar in. So for 2-to-1, you need, the ratio we did was 10 liters of water and 20 kilograms of sugar. We heat the water up enough that the sugar would dissolve, but you don't want to boil the water. If you boil it, some sort of chemical reaction happens. I'm not 100% sure, I'm not an expert, but it's not good for it when you let it fully boil. Once the sugar was fully dissolved, we put them in some milk jugs so it'd be easy to transfer them to where the hives are from my house. We were at my brother's at the bee yard. We're getting the smoker lit, ready to go. We're gonna crack into the hives. First thing we're going to do is remove the green candy board and the yellow honey supers. We had the candy board on there for increased ventilation while we had the mite treatment in, and the yellow medium was there just to give the bees a little more space so they weren't so huddled around the mite treatment when they were in the hive. We're going to crack open the top brood chamber just so we can pivot it up and remove the mite treatment. They're super heavy. It took everything I had just to pivot it up. They're full of honey, full of brood. The bees have done excellent this year. And I slowly put it down, trying not to squish any bees. Now we're going through the hive, trying to find the 2 frames with the most amount of honey on them. The feeder takes up 2 spots in the brood chamber. We tried a couple different entrance feeders in the past, and they worked okay, but the bees really couldn't get the sugar water out of them that fast. So we switched to the feeder that goes inside the hive, and they work much better and much easier too. You don't have to fill them up as often, and they seem to be able to drink it quite quickly. The reason we're looking for 2 full frames of capped honey is that when we go to take the feeder out right before winter, is we want to give them 2 full frames to replace where the feeder was. We don't want to put 2 empty frames or half empty frames in there, and then they have no time to fill it up right before winter. Here I'm just cleaning up the inside of the hive. They have beeswax all around the edges, and I just want to make sure the feeder goes in there nice and straight and that there's room for it. I'm putting the wax out front again so the bees can take any sort of honey or anything that's left in there. I'm going to pick it up later. We got the 2 frames out. We're putting the feeder in. It has 2 holes in the top, and it has like a plastic mesh down in there, so the bees, when they go down, they can take the sugar water and they can crawl back out so they don't get stuck in the water and drown. Once it's in, we had used the sugar water that we made earlier, and we're filling them up. Each frame feeder holds between 7 and 8 liters, I'm pretty sure. Once we have it filled up, we put the inner cover on, the outer cover on, and that's it for that hive. Next, we go on to the next hive and do pretty much the exact same thing. We fed the bees sugar water of a ratio of 1-to-1 in the spring and the summer. Now that it's fall, we're switching to a ratio of 2-to-1. We do this because the days are getting shorter and cooler, and when they put it in their frames, they can evaporate it a lot more quickly to store it for winter. Both hives are very strong this year, so we want to make sure that all the frames are full so they have plenty of food to go through the winter with. Other things we're looking for when we're taking the frames out is if there's any larvae or brood. If there's lots of brood and larvae, then we know we have a nice healthy queen that is going around and laying lots of larvae. If you're checking your frames and you don't notice much larvae or any at all, it means that you have a queen that's not really producing very well, or she may have died, and that means your hive doesn't have a queen and is not going to survive. Here's an example of a frame that is full of honey. It's all capped, And we can take that one out and we can put that in once we take the feeders out for the winter and we know that they'll have plenty of food. Again, once we have our 2 frames pulled, we can put our frame feeder in and fill it back up with sugar water. Once it's filled up, we can put the hive back together and that's it. We have the 4 frames. We're going to put them in the shed away from other rodents and where the bees and squirrels and stuff can't get them. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a big old thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.